What is going on, Ada Nation? Welcome to Dapp Central. My name is Fareed. In today's video, as always, I want to break down some of the latest news and updates that we've seen in the Cardano ecosystem. The very first topic I want to jump into are going to be some Cardano development updates. And one big piece here is going to be surrounding the SPO poll, which was done, I believe, as an experiment. However, we're now going to see some changes coming online for SPOs and delegators on the Cardano mainnet. Right after that, I want to jump into the Cardano TVL, as well as take a look at a particular index, which has Cardano coming in at #1 when it comes to NFTs. After those updates, I want to jump into another update surrounding Wanchain, which is going to be a bridging platform, which has now opened up a bridge into the Cardano network. Now, this is going to be a bi-directional bridge, allowing users to not only bring their assets into Cardano, but the ability to also move them out of Cardano if they wish. Now, third, we've got another bridge update, which is going to be surrounding Aneta BTC, which is a bridging solution focusing solely on Bitcoin, but they're officially live on the main net. Last but not least, we've got some interesting updates coming in from the official lending pawn team, which allows for you to tap into the liquidity that your NFTs hold and their release of their brand new renting feature. Now, if it's your first time stopping by the channel, my goal here is to provide you in the community with the latest news, tutorials, and updates surrounding the top builders on the network. If you'd like to support me on my mission to educate the broader Cardano community, then consider delegating with the official Dapp Central stake pool, which is stake pool ticker DAPP. As always, not only do I thank you guys for the support here on the YouTube channel, but I also thank you guys for the delegators or for the delegations coming into the stake pool. Jumping into the very first topic here for today's video, I want to touch on a recent poll that took place on the Cardano mainnet, which is now going to have some implications on the mainnet for SPOs and delegators. Now, this was released on May 12th of 2023, and it's titled as Entering Voltaire Poll Experiment Live on the Mainnet. I'm not going to break down the entire article here, but I do have a full dedicated video breaking down exactly what these four options mean and how they each have their own pros and cons. Now, this is all going to be relating to the K parameter, which is basically the number identifying how many maximum saturated pools we can have on the network, and then also the min pool cost, which is a minimum fee charged by a stake pool operator before rewards are distributed to their delegators. Now, we have four different options here. Option number one was to keep K at 500 and to keep the min pool cost at 340 ADA, both of which are how the mainnet is currently run. We also had the ability to keep K at 500 and have the min pool cost to 170 ADA, or we could have increased K to 1000 and kept the min pool cost at 340 ADA, or we could have also kept K at 1000 and then have the min pool cost as well. Now, if I jump into ADA stats here, we have all of the results for voting. And generally speaking, the community did vote to increase K and cut the min pool cost in half. But what we're going to be seeing is just the min pool cost being cut in half moving forward. So we have an article that was released with respect to the Voltaire era, and this was done by the Parameter Committee. Now, this was released on July 27th, and it states the following. The Parameter Committee recommends to retain the target number of stake pools, or K, at 500 and to reduce the min pool cost to 170 ADA. A few things strike me here. Number one, I personally was under the impression that this was just an experiment. I wasn't actually sure that they'd be implementing these changes. If I would have known that that was the case, I definitely would have advocated for more people to go out and actually begin to vote. Number two, is I think that the actual option that was chosen by the community was to also increase K to 1000. So the fact that they didn't actually increase K makes me kind of wonder, what is the job of the committee? Is it to actually listen to the vote, or is it to maybe just, take a look, see what the community wants, and then maybe iterate on that? So I wanted to touch on that there. That's my first piece of news. Now, right below that, it states that based on the recommendation, the Parameter Committee will produce a formal Cardano change request to be considered for approval by the signing authorities. Wednesday, August 23rd is the proposed target date for enactment. I'm not sure what the actual status of the actual request is. I think it's been approved if they're already giving us a target date for enactment. However, I'll keep you guys posted. Again, this is going to be to keep K at 500 while cutting the min pool cost down to 170 ADA. Now on the next tab here, I do have a blog released by IOG, or Input Output, breaking down some of the pros and cons of each approach, whether that is to increase K or whether that is to cut the min pool down in half. So I'm not going to touch on this here. Again, I'll leave the link to it down in the description if you guys want to go ahead and check all the pros and cons out for each of the options on your own. That's going to do it for the very first update here as a part of today's video. The next update I want to jump into is going to be a quick update surrounding the Cardano TVL. So taking a look here, let me get myself out of the way there. MinSwap continues to dominate. However, the dominance is waning as it's now below 30%. For the longest, it was at about 35 to 40% on any given week, and it's now kind of down below that threshold. This tells me two things. Number one, they are still relatively large, but number two, there's more dApps coming online, taking some of that TVL away from MinSwap. If we take a look at the left-hand side there, MinSwap currently holds $46 million. We've got Indigo coming in number two with $38 million, and they just recently released their V2 version of their web app. Again, really kind of setting the bar here when it comes to DeFi protocols building on Cardano. Coming in number three, we've got Liquid, which is a lending and borrowing platform with $19 million. And then we actually have them being overtaken, or ViFi being overtaken by Liquid there, with $15 million. Behind them, we've got Jed, followed by MusliSwap, which was recently involved in a pretty big debacle with respect to slippage and a refund coming out to the community. And then we've got them followed by Wing Riders, LenFi, SundaySwap, Optum Finance, and Spectrum Finance. Now, the biggest gainer here this week does appear to be Spectrum Finance, with an addition of more than 20% when it comes to the TVL of about $850,000. So that's going to wrap it up there for that particular update, briefly touching on the Cardano TVL. The next thing I have here is going to be an interesting chart or graphic breaking down the floor price index on Cardano, basically going from being ranked at number 4 all the way to being ranked at number 1 in the last month. Now, before I actually jump into playing the video, I want to quickly explain what the floor price index is. So it reads here, the flagship index, which is the floor price index, measures the performance of the global NFT market on a particular chain, and it can include assets on any blockchain. Now, it's considered to be a proxy for the entire NFT market and includes 500 eligible smart contracts on any given day. The index is weighted by a combination of adjusted market capitalization, or market caps, and unique traders. The composition of each index is algorithmically driven by the above factors and adjusted sales volume, and it's also rebalanced every day to keep up with the pace of the rapidly evolving market. So you could imagine this as an index similar to the S&P, where it's kind of tracking the top 500 companies within the United States and their performance. However, this is going to be done specifically for NFTs, and this is going to be done for blockchain assets. So now that we better understand the actual index, if I jump back over here, I'm going to go ahead and play the video. It's about 30 to 40 seconds long, not long whatsoever. But we have at the very beginning Polygon, followed by Solana. We then have Solana overtaking Polygon, and then we also have then Ethereum and Cardano kind of rising above the ranks. At one point, we do have Ethereum leading this particular index. And then towards the actual second quarter of 2023 is when we see Cardano really begin to shine. So since then, Cardano has come up to number 1. It's kind of waned back down a little bit there, and it does climb back up here over the course of the last few months. So given the fact that we are in a bear market, we are still seeing Cardano at number 1 all the way up until July of 2023, when we're taking a look at some of the top platforms or some of the top NFT projects being traded here on the network. So a little bit of positive news here that I wanted to briefly touch on, breaking down the NFT market compared to other top chains. That's going to do it there for that particular update. And I think that's going to take us through some of the initial Cardano news pieces. The next thing I want to jump into is going to be an update surrounding Wanchain. Now, Wanchain is going to be a cross-chain infrastructure platform, allowing you to quickly bridge your assets from the Wanchain network to Cardano and a few other networks. Now, this is going to be a highlight of a new integration, which is going to be for the Cardano network. I did briefly touch on this during my last live stream with Josh from Late Game Crypto, and the fact that we had seen the first ever Bitcoin, ETH, USDT, and USDC being bridged over into Cardano. So I'm going to quickly touch on this article here, and then we're going to move right along. So Wanchain, the global leader for decentralized blockchain interoperability solutions and maker of the first public decentralized cross-chain bridge, is pleased to announce the addition of Cardano to Wanchain's cross-chain infrastructure. Wanchain is a project formed of two pillars. Number one, a sustainable layer 1 POS or proof of stake blockchain. And number two, a decentralized wide area network of blockchain. So not only are they their own blockchain, but they're also connecting a lot of the ERC20 compatible networks, which include Ethereum, Avalanche, Polygon, etc., to some other networks, which will also include Cardano moving forward. If I scroll down, it currently states, there are more than 25 public networks which are connected by Wanchain's wide area network of blockchains, including but not limited to Arbitrum, A-Star, Avalanche, C-Chain, Bitcoin, BNB, ETH, Litecoin, Optimism, Polkadot, Polygon, XRP, Tron, and now Cardano. So pretty big update here to see Cardano listed among some of the top dogs when it comes to other competing blockchains. Now, when we're focusing specifically on what this particular interaction or collaboration with Cardano means, it states here that powered by decentralization or by a decentralized non-custodial bidirectional cross-chain bridge, Wanchain's Cardano bridge enables greater interoperability between networks and offers a huge influx of new assets and liquidity. I couldn't agree more. Again, with just the induction or introduction of Bitcoin and Ethereum, we're seeing two pretty big assets that aren't native to Cardano now being available to be used and swapped on the network. Now, keep in mind that these are going to be wrapped assets, so they're not native to the chain. However, you can interact with them. And if they are supported on any dApps within the network, then you can go ahead and use them with those as well. Now, Wanchain's Cardano bridge enables numerous assets, including ADA, and other native Cardano tokens, all ERC20 tokens, and several other notable assets to move seamlessly between Cardano and any EVM-based network and select non-EVM networks. So not only being able to transfer Cardano tokens outside the ecosystem, but also being able to do the opposite, bring some of these other ERC20 compatible assets into the Cardano ecosystem. If I blow this up here, we can see some of the current routes and assets currently supported. So we can bridge from Bitcoin into Cardano, from Ethereum into Cardano, Arbitrum into Cardano, A-Star into Cardano, and we have the full list running down there below. Now, an interesting one there when it comes to some of the assets is going to be from Ethereum into Cardano, where we can port over ADA, Bitcoin, Ethereum, USDC, and USDT. And then at the very bottom there, when we're routing between Wanchain and Cardano, where we can support the bridging of ADA, BTC, ETH, USDC, USDT, and the WAN token. Again, I think this is going to offer up a lot of liquidity and a lot of additional adoption. Now, I don't think that there's a lot of people using the bridge right now, given the fact that it's relatively new, but I think over the course of the next few weeks and months, we'll start to see more and more members taking advantage of the Wanchain bridge. Now, if you guys want to check out the bridge on your own, you can head over to bridge.wanchain.org. From here, you can select which asset you want to bridge over. So if I select ADA here, I can then select which chain I want to go from. So let's say I want to maybe bridge from Cardano. I can then connect my wallet, and then I can choose the chain that I want to port my ADA to. So if I want to bridge that over to the Wanchain network or Ethereum, I can now go ahead and do that. So that is one interesting aspect here that I was not aware of, being able to actually bridge Cardano outside of the ADA network over into some of these other ecosystems. Again, it is a wrap version, so it's not native on Ethereum, so do keep that in mind. Now, this offers up a huge use case for any dApps that might be building on Ethereum or Wanchain that are looking to leverage or tap into a growing Cardano community. That said, that's going to take me through that particular update. If you guys are enjoying today's video, I would appreciate you if you guys could tap that like button. If it's your first time stopping by the channel and you want more content like this, consider subscribing. And if you have any questions for me surrounding any of the topics that we've discussed so far or that we plan to discuss, then make sure to go ahead and leave a comment down below. Now, the next story here for today's Cardano Scoop is going to be very similar in the sense that we're talking about another bridge which has come online for the Cardano mainnet. Now, this is going to be surrounding Aneta BTC, which only allows for you to bridge Bitcoin into Cardano. So not a broad array of assets and support for different networks like we just saw with Wanchain, but it is a new bridge nonetheless, which is now live on the mainnet. Now, I did release a fully dedicated video breaking down how to bridge using the Wanchain wallet from the Bitcoin network over into the Cardano test net. So please go ahead and check that video out if you guys have any questions about how the process will actually work. So it reads here, Bitcoin meet Cardano. We're excited to announce the mainnet is now alive. Now, the team did have a few hiccups here, and I'm glad to see that they're finally up and running. I think they were aiming to launch somewhere around the early portion of July. However, they ran into a couple of issues, which they were more than transparent about, which again, kudos to the team for bringing those up. And since then, they've been working to fix those, and we're now ready to launch, or they now are ready to launch on the mainnet. Similar comments to what I said with Wanchain earlier. I think this is great for anybody who holds Bitcoin that is looking to get exposure into the Cardano ecosystem. Now, we have yet to see exactly which platforms will be supporting the actual CBTC token, but the hope is that over the course of the maturity stage of Cardano, that we'll see more and more platforms kind of opening up their arms and adopting tokens, especially for use as collateral, like CBTC, USDT from Wanchain, and USDC from Wanchain, etc. Now, the next piece here is going to be surrounding the liquidity pool for ADA and the CBTC token. So not only can you now provide liquidity if you hold CBTC and ADA into the MinSwap liquidity pool, you can actually also purchase the CBTC token on the Cardano main net. So if you want to purchase CBTC and get exposure to a wrapped version of Bitcoin on Cardano, you can now go ahead and do that. And you guys can see that in the background or in the screenshot, a single CBTC token, which again is valued at the same price that Bitcoin is, which is right around $29,000 for a single token, translates over to 110,000 ADA for a single token. So not a cheap asset by any means, but it is good to see that we have it now live on the main net. That is going to wrap it up there for that particular update. The very last thing I want to jump into is going to be an update surrounding a lending pond. Now, I've covered lending pond here on the channel as well. Please make sure to go ahead and check out my videos reviewing the actual use cases of the platform. But they've stated here, renting is now live on the pond. You can now list your assets for loan, sale, and rent all at the same time, giving you full control over your liquidity by setting the terms yourself while also having maximum exposure to different markets. Really interesting feature here. Again, not only can you put it up for a loan, you can also have it for sale or rent, depending on whichever action gets taken on that particular asset first. Generally speaking, what this allows for you to do is take an NFT that you hold and put it to work for you instead of just letting it sit in your wallet if you're not staking it already or doing something else with the actual NFT itself. Again, this allows for you to tap into some of that liquidity that might be a little bit dormant, given the fact that some of these NFT markets are a little bit more illiquid compared to fungible token markets, where there's a lot of liquidity pools and a lot of DEXs offering you a way in and out of those tokens relatively seamlessly. Now, I do have a few questions here, and the first is going to be, surrounding how does the actual platform ensure that the rent is paid appropriately? If you are with the actual lending pond team or you're just familiar with this system, please let me know down in the comment section below. I'm really wondering, do people pay the rent price before they rent the asset or before they receive the asset, or do they pay after the fact? If it's done after the fact, I'm wondering, what measures are in place within the smart contract to ensure that they pay back the actual rent and return the NFT, given the fact that, once the NFT is in their wallet, they kind of have the ability to do whatever it is that they want with it. Again, that's my understanding of how the network works. But if there's some sort of smart contract in place that mitigates that, then I'm more than happy to get educated on that process. So that is going to be it there. Another thing to keep in mind is that we are going to be seeing some renting features coming also from the Fluid Tokens team, which appears to be a direct competitor with the Lending Pond platform. Both of them, I definitely wish the best of luck too. I think both of them kind of being in the same niche brings a lot more competitiveness and a lot more ideas to the space, with this renting feature being a clear example of that. That is going to do it here for today's video. Again, I appreciate you guys sticking through with me through the entire update in which we've discussed the Cardano stake pool parameter updates potentially coming on August 23rd of 2023, the recent adoption of the Cardano network into the Wanchain ecosystem, Aneta BTC bridging over into Cardano, as well as Lending Pond and their brand new NFT renting feature. If you guys have any questions surrounding anything that we touched on, or if you learned anything along the way in today's video, I would appreciate you if you could tap that like button. If it's your first time stopping by the channel and you want more content like this, consider subscribing. And if you have any questions for me surrounding any of the topics that we broke down in today's video, then go ahead and leave a comment down below. That said, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video.